Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start our class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times to pray for those who are in suffering. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. We'll start our class. This is the concluding class for this course. So for today, we don't have any new topics to cover. We will have the summary of all the topics, and any questions you may have, we will cover those questions. One person asked if we could cover participles in more detail. So I'll cover a little bit more details on the participles. So if you go to the summary for the class, the best way I would probably go for about the summary is to just go to the repository and look at the class notes. So class notes are done pretty wonderfully well, and if we go with the class notes, then you will automatically see the topics which are to be covered. So for example, if you look at the class 1, so we started this course, it has been more than 4 months, and after Sanskrit 01, which was relatively basic course, we started this course to be a little bit more advanced, continuation for the same thing. So one thing we did was we defined the scope for this course. And these are the major topics for Sanskrit grammar: Sandhi, Shabda Rupa, that is nominal forms, verbal forms, Dhatu Rupa, Samasa, the compound words, Krut Pratyaya, and Tadhita Pratyaya. So when we started, there is a message that there is a shift in Europe for winter time. So we now have 2 p.m. WhatsApp 3 p.m. was written. So if Tapasyananji can send another message for WhatsApp, by WhatsApp, to specify that the class is started, and in Europe there was a shift of time, it may help some people who might have thought in Europe that class would start after 1 hour. So Sanskrit 2 course, we decided that in addition to what we covered in Sanskrit 1 course, we did cover those things, plus we covered the new topics, Samasa and Krut Pratyaya. And Tadhita Pratyaya, a glimpse may be provided, we said. So we did cover some Tadhita Pratyaya, but I did not specifically mention that those are Tadhita Pratyaya words. So today I'll just tell you some words which we did cover as a part of Tadhita Pratyaya in the last class, and that was related to these kind of words. So Bhagavat, Balavat, Balin, Matimat, these are the Tadhita Pratyaya. So this Vat you see, and this in and mat, so these are all Tadhita Pratyaya. That means that we already have a nominal. These are called secondary nominals. So there is already a nominal called Bala. Bala means strength. And then we put another suffix on that nominal to make it Balavat, one who has strength. As far as Samasa is concerned, we will see which all Samasas we covered. So we did cover some Samasa, not in great detail. There is still a lot of work in Samasa to be covered, but we did touch upon some basic topics of Samasa. And what we did in fairly good detail was Krut Pratyaya. So all the participles we studied, these are all Krut Pratyaya. There are about 125 Krut Pratyayas. So we only saw a very few of them. But the ones which we covered, they are quite important. Similarly, in class 2, we started with this new topic called Samasa. So Samasa, if you remember, there are 4 major types of Samasa. Dvandva Samasa, that is Ubhaya Pada Pradhana, that means both components, both constituents have equal importance. Tatpurush Samasa, the subcategory has Karmadhara Samasa for that. Avyayi Bhava Samasa and Bahubrihi Samasa. So Dvandva Samasa in English, we said an example could be like pots and pans. So both components are equally valid. So for example, in Sanskrit, I can say Rama and Shyama, they are going to school. So I can either say Ramascha, Syamascha, there must be some example here. So here, this is the example. So Ramaha, Shyamaha, both are going to school. Rama and Shyama are going to school. So either I can say cha for the end mark, Ramaha cha, Shyama cha, or I can make a compound word, Rama Shyamau, Vidyalayam Gachata. So both of them are correct. Both of them convey the same meaning. Samasa means, all samasa, one of the meaning of samasa is also to shorten. So it represents the same concept in a shorter form. So that's a Dvandva samasa. Tatpurusha samasa, that is, so in Dvandva samasa, it's both constituents have equal importance, the words. One thing is the difference between samasa and sandhi, because that is one point of confusion for many people. So samasa is between two words, and then you can bring more and more words together, and a samasa could have multiple words, and end result is into one word. Sandhi is between two sounds, which is represented by two letters of the alphabet. So the last letter of the first word and the first letter of the second word, because of certain phonetic rules, they come together and make a common sound. Two sounds merge into one sound, or one of the sounds may change. That is called sandhi. Unlike samasa, where the two words or more than two words become one word and you cannot put them separately, sandhi is just a positional thing, that two sounds happen to be pronounced close to each other, and therefore the sandhi takes place. So Tatpurusha samasa, the second constituent is more important, like bookshelf. So here we are referring to the shelf for the books. Shelf is the main element. If I say bring a bookshelf, person will not bring the book, but the shelf. Then Avyay Bhava Samasa, we did not see much of that. It is Purva Pada Pradhana, and the whole word becomes indeclinable. So the first word is indeclinable, and the compound word also becomes an indeclinable word. Bahubrihi Samasa, this is Anya Pada Pradhana. Importance is to the implied meaning, a third word. So like black belt in English does not refer to black or a belt, refers to a person. So when I say black belt, I want to see a black belt, I'm referring to a person whom I want to see. So black belt, so Bahuvrihi Samasa becomes an adjective. And in Gita class, we saw some of those compounds where those compound words are used for as an adjective to Arjuna. So these are the four major types of compounds. We did see some of the Dvandva and Tatpurusha in somewhat detail, but not so much of the other compounds so much. So still there is a lot of detail to be covered in samasa, but some basic idea you got. Then in class 3, we did a few more nominals. So I will, and some consonant sandhi rules. So this I will not go into detail here. Class 4, we did some samasa, Tatpurusha samasa specifically. So one of the very common Tatpurusha samasa is the Vibhakti samasa. So Tatpurusha samasa is 3 types: Vibhakti samasa, Karmadharaya Tatpurusha, and Nai Tatpurusha. So Vibhakti Tatpurusha, based upon the declension of the first member. So this is the more common among all the Tatpurusha. So for example, Dutiya Tatpurusha, where the second case is used, like Dukkham Atitaha, Dukkhatitaha, beyond sorrow. Then Tritiya Tatpurusha, Harina Trataha, Hari Trataha, rescued by Hari. Out of all these Tatpurusha, the Sashti Tatpurushas, the sixth case, that is the most common. Ramadasaha, Ramasya Dasaha, Rama's servant. So this is the most common to be used, and then after that Tritiya Tatpurusha. But then once in a while you will find the use of other Tatpurusha Samasa also. So here some statistics is there. More than 70% of Tatpurusha Samasa are in sixth case, and 17 to 18% in the third case. So that's just a general statistics, and not like I have not evaluated every Sanskrit literature, all the compound words in there, but some texts, some people have analyzed and come up with this statistics. Then in the class 5, we did see the some verbs, tenses and moods, and what are the verb roots. So as you know, there are two types of endings, Parasmaipadi and Atmanipadi, and the verbs which take both the endings, they are called Ubhayapadi. But remember, endings are only two kinds, Parasmaipadi endings and Atmanipadi endings. So these are for the present tense, these are the endings we studied: Ti, Taha, Anti, Si, Tha, Tha, Mi, Vaha, Mah, and in Atmanipadi. So very commonly we use many times these verb forms: Gacchati, Gachatah, Gacchanti. You all are must be quite familiar by now these. So here are the how many tenses and moods are there in Sanskrit. So present is there, past. There are three types of past. We covered one of them. And then these are the moods. We covered two of them, and late lakara is not to be covered. It is used primarily in Vedas. So out of all these tenses and moods, we primarily saw 5: Lat, Lang, and Lut, the future, Lot, and Vidhiling. We saw 5 of them. Quite detailed. And remaining 5, they are covered in the further chapters of the book. So Samskrta-Subodhini, the book we are following, the other tenses and moods, they are covered in the later chapters. So later chapters are quite heavily dealing with the verbal forms in Sanskrit-Subodhini. Then there is another concept called Gana, that all the roots, they are divided into, there are about 2000 verbal roots in Sanskrit. And out of 2000, about 500 are the ones which you will find, 400 to 500, which are most commonly used. So if somebody understands those 400 to 500 roots, they would be pretty okay in understanding most of the Sanskrit texts. These roots are divided into 10 classes. They are called Gana. Classes are called Gana. And the names of the classes are simply named after the first root of the class, like Bhu, Bhuadi. Bhuadi means Bhu, etc. Adi means etc. or starting with. So starting with Bhu. So Not a very imaginative way to nomenclature, but that's how it is used. And first class has more than half the roots, 1079. All other classes are combined, they will have less than that. The 4 classes out of these 10 classes, first, fourth, sixth, and 10th, they have a characteristic that the stem which we make of these verbs from these classes, that ends in akara. Because it ends in akara, the forms of the tenses, they become pretty easy. And these are the 4 major classes we studied in our course, Sanskrit-02. The remaining classes, remaining 6 classes, they are covered in the further chapters of the book. So that's what I told you, that further chapters of the book, they are pretty heavy in the verbal forms of the different tense and moods, as well as the different classes of the verbs. So why the roots are divided into the classes? Because there is a vikarana, the special suffix you could say, or infix, that comes between the verbal root and these endings which we saw, these endings. So between these endings, like gachati or labh, let's say labhate, so the root is labh, then akara is the infix because it's the first class, so akara comes, and then te, so labh a te, labhate, like that. We have seen all that. We also saw how to make the stems and the verbal forms, so all that has been covered. Then if I go 6, so we saw some of the further nominal cases. These were already explained in Sanskrit 01, but there was some repetition here in Sanskrit 02 class. So Prathama is the subject, like Ramaha Gachati, the first case, nominative. Second case, accusative, is the object. Rama goes to the school. Vidyalayam Gachati, so Vidyalayam comes in the second case. Then third case, instrumental, or it is used by or with. Sita Ramena Sah Gachati. Then fourth case is the dative. So these words, these are taken from the linguistics. So that's why they are not used in English a lot, like dative, ablative, genitive, locative. Because English doesn't have the case, there is no simple one-to-one translation for the English words. So that's why a lot of things in Sanskrit are taken from the linguistics, because Sanskrit uses a lot of concepts which are not in English, and therefore the whole science of linguistics, which actually came from Sanskrit, they have taken a lot of concepts from Sanskrit to define those words. Panchami is the ablative, aham ramat pustakam grunami. Then Sashti, Ramasya Bhrata Lakshmana, of, and then Saptami, the locative, seventh case. Rame Sadgunaha Santi. In Rama, there are a lot of good qualities. And then Sambodhana, vocative. If you are calling somebody, hey Rama, atra agacha. Oh Rama, please come here. Then we saw some of, in the 7th class, we saw pronouns, indeclinable interrogative words, some particles. So These are the major pronouns we saw. Asmad as I, first person pronoun. Second person pronoun is you. And these are the only words are used in first person and second person. Asmad and Yushmad. I think there is a typo here instead of class 13, class or Sanskrit 1 class 13. So not typo, sorry. It is fine. And because we covered it in Sanskrit 1 class also, Tapasya Ninji has made a reference for people to easily follow it. And then the third person pronouns. So all the other words, they are referring to the third person. And third person pronouns are used in all the three genders. First person and second person, they are used. They are common for all the three genders. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send it through the chat. We'll see how much we can cover. But most of the questions will be answered if you go through these notes and the videos. Then we covered the sandhis, Pragruhya, Anuswara and Vyanjana Sandhi in class 8. So I will not go to the very specific rules. This we have done many times in our exercises also. Then here is the Krut Pratyaya. We covered some Krut Pratyaya here. So Sanskrit, this is one thing, and this is gives you a very specific structure for Sanskrit, that the words are combined, all the words, without any exception. All the words are divided into Prakriti and Pratyaya. Prakriti means the base and Pratyaya means suffix. So that's why Sanskrit has perfect etymology. You could always find that what is the base and what is the suffix for any given Sanskrit word which appears in the text. So these suffixes are the ones which are applied either to a verbal root directly, or they could be applied more than one in sequence. So it could be just one suffix or it could be more than one suffix. Generally, you will find most of the words having more than one suffix. So so Krit Pratyaya is one suffix which makes the nominal words. So there are some suffix we saw, for example, Tita, Anti, that makes the verbal forms. Atmanepadi and Parasmaipadi suffixes. Krut Pratyaya is the one type of suffix which makes the nominal base forms. So one of them we saw Truch Pratyaya, and only Tru remains of the Truch. Chakara is dropped, and there is a whole science behind when you study Panini that why a certain letters are dropped, what is the reason, what is the purpose he put these letters and then drop them. So even if the letter is dropped, he has created certain other rules. Panini has created certain other rules in the grammar that based upon which letter is dropped, certain other operations take place on that word. So that's like a mastermind to come up with this structure in a language. So one of the example is, so Krut Pratyaya are always put from the verbal roots and they make the nominal forms, nominal base forms. So like Kru and Tra. So Kartru. So there are some rules why Kru becomes Kar, and Kartru means doer. So that's how the sense of the, so whenever you apply a suffix, Panini has also given, of course, the meaning in which that suffix is to be applied. So Truch Pratyaya is applied in the sense of doer of the action. So verb represents the action and Truch Pratyaya represents the doer of that action. So Kartru, the doer. Similarly, pach is to cook. Paktru means the one who cooks. And like that. So then we also saw Panini methodology for generating the nominal forms. Upasargas. Upsargas we had covered earlier, but some more detail were covered in Sanskrit 02. And if you remember this form, I can also pull from the Excel file. These endings. So it's an amazing thing that every single nominal form, and we have studied so much, and some of you might be feeling overwhelmed that so many nominal forms are there, so many declensions. And Tapasya Nanji is creating a very comprehensive document for you to refer to, containing all the nominal forms we have studied. All the nominal forms, Panini has given a single table of suffixes. And without any exception, all the nominal forms and pronominal forms, they use this set of suffixes to derive them. And then there are rules. So that's quite an amazing thing. I always find it pretty mesmerizing that how could he come up with this whole idea to derive all these nominal forms of all sort of words. And there are some words for which we haven't even studied. They are considered very difficult and complex words. Even for those words, he has only these set of suffixes to be used. Similarly, in the verbal forms. So just one set of suffixes and derive all the nominal and verbal forms. So therefore, in Sanskrit, there are two sets of people who consider Sanskrit very difficult because everything has to be memorized. Like there are so many nominal forms, so many verbal forms, so many declensions, so many conjugations. You have to memorize all that, and Sanskrit becomes a language for too much memorization. That is one aspect. The way I consider it, if it is studied properly, you don't have to memorize anything. You just have to understand all. You can memorize probably this table of the suffixes, and you understand all the rules which are applied on different roots, different verbal roots, to come up with the nominal forms. So Sanskrit, in my opinion, involves a lot of understanding rather than a lot of a memorization. But that does require a lot of effort because there are a very good number of rules. But the fact is that if you understand those, you become like a walking dictionary. You really don't have to refer to the dictionary also. Because as I told you, every word in Sanskrit is derived from these verbal roots using the suffixes and the rules which are applied on those suffixes. Then we saw Karmani and Bhave Prayoga. So Sanskrit has two types of passive. We call Karmani Prayoga is the passive voice, which is similar to in English. And Bhave Prayoga, that we translate as impersonal passive. There is no equivalent in English for that kind of translation. So therefore, many times the translation is done in a very simple manner in English. But Sanskrit has a very distinct way to represent those concepts. So like Rama told a story was told by Rama. That's how we say in English, the active and passive. In Sanskrit, it would be Balakaha. Let me see the actual usage here. So Ramaha Vidyalayam Gachati. Ramena Vidyalayah Gamyate. So this is the Kartari and Karmani Prayoga, first case and third case. And then there Bhave Prayoga, where you use it for the intransitive, like the boy laughs. You cannot make a passive of it in English. English doesn't support that. But it will be equivalent to like saying laughing is being done by the boy. So in texts, when you see the balaka hasati or balakena hasyate, it both are translated as boy laughs in English, because English has that structure only. But in Sanskrit, both structures are possible and both are used quite frequently. So when you know the Sanskrit, you can understand a little bit more subtleties and you can enjoy the text. Then we saw the future tense lut lakara, and lut lakara is just a simple future tense. These two classes, 10, 11 and 12, if you can go through the notes, it will give you a pretty good idea of what is the passive voice and impersonal passive voice in Sanskrit. So future tense is simple. There are two future tenses in Sanskrit. We covered one of them, lut lakara. That's generally easier to have the verbal forms. Like gachati becomes gamishyati, gamishyatah, gamishyanti. And there is a passive, corresponding passive also. So in class 13, we covered some stems, just a few nominal forms. So there is not much of very concepts here, except in consonant ending stems. We saw that if you have this table, that is pretty helpful. So it is pretty easy, pretty directly applied, this table in the consonant forms. For example, marut. And this we saw in detail earlier, that marut, marutau, marutaha, all these things, they are applied very easily on these, I mean, the suffixes are applied on that base form and you get the end forms without many other rules coming into play. Then 14, 15 and 16, I covered the participle forms. So that I'll cover in a little bit more detail today, just from a little different perspective. And 17th we covered last time, some more nouns and pronouns. So this I want to tell you that exercise, we covered two lessons here, lesson 23 and 24. Some of you have submitted the solutions for those exercises. Others who have not yet, please continue to solve them, and you can post the you can send us the exercise solutions or any questions you may have. Exercise 241 especially is a little bit more difficult because the author has tried to use the concepts and therefore many sentences have come out to be a bit unnatural. Like you will not find those kind of structures in the normal Sanskrit text. So 241 has become a little difficult, and if you are able to not do everything, you can refer to the solutions and ask any questions you may have. Now, as you can see, these notes, they are a wonderful source of your learning and they are available for you. So when we started this course, Sanskrit-02, because there was a lot of demand for this course to start. Sanskrit 1, if you remember, we had about 700 people registered and 150 stayed till the end. And that's a pretty good number, more than what I was expecting. Sanskrit 02 course, so based upon the request of the people, we started this course, and we followed this book, Sanskrit-Subodhini. So in Sanskrit 1 course, if you remember, Amit Baba, Yogacharya Amit Baba from Seattle, he did a wonderful job for preparing all the class notes. And we have very detailed class notes for Sanskrit 01. This time, Amit Baba for Sanskrit 02, he requested to be excused from the duty of preparing the class notes. And because he is also the secretary of Kriya Yoga Institute, the organization, so has a lot of other responsibilities on his shoulder as well. So for me, I did not know whom to turn to, so I requested Swami Tapasyananji, and I also requested Bindima. So both of them gladly agreed, and Bindima has been first preparing these notes from these classes, and then Swami Tapasyananji is editing them later on to put some cross references, as you saw, also the color coding where the things become easier to follow. So finally, all these notes are coming in a very beautiful shape, thanks to both Bindima and Tapasyananji. And also, if you look at in Sanskrit 02, we have a lot of class videos. And just like Matt Baba did the class videos for the first course, he did a wonderful job for videos for this as well as Bhagavad Gita course. And he came up with a technique by which to edit these videos in a very short time. So therefore, we were able to post most of the videos very shortly after the class ends to facilitate those who could not attend the live class for some reason. So these videos have also become a wonderful source for you or even other people in the future to learn. And we are putting all these videos on YouTube, so that there will be a channel, and I will inform the details of those channel and links to you later on by WhatsApp and email, so that you can share those links with your friends and family, so that this resource can be useful for people who would like to learn Sanskrit later also. So all the videos for Sanskrit 1 course, Sanskrit 2 course, and Bhagavad Gita course, we are going to put on the YouTube. Now, this, as far as this course is concerned, Sanskrit 02, also if you remember earlier, Ben Baba was taking care of the emails, and we had a lot of emails coming at that time. So Ben Baba was also learning the Spanish, and he found that it was difficult for him to learn both the languages, which are very different from each other, simultaneously. And I understand that. So he also asked to be excused from the duty. So again, I didn't have much anybody to turn to, so I requested Tapasyananji, Swami Tapasyananji here, that if he can take care of the emails aspect. And Swami Tapasyananji here, he is also taking care of a lot of duties related to the office work. So he still agreed because he loves Sanskrit. And primarily it is because of his efforts that we have been able to deliver this course in such an effective manner, with all the materials, with all the class notes, the exercise solutions, as well as answering many of the emails. Without his help and very active contribution, we won't have been able to come up with all these deliverables. So I want to thank everybody, especially Swami Tapasyananji, for making this course a very valuable contribution. I just want to also go through the participle, because that was one topic which was, so participles you can understand from this perspective also. So we have participle all, of course, all the videos and class notes, and you can take a look at it. But if you just want to understand in a very basic way, think of it this way. We have participles for active voice and participles for passive voice. What participle is actually doing? Participle is replacing the verb form. So if I say, for example, our standard example, Rama Vidyalayam Gachati. So Gachati here is the active verb. And what participle is doing here? Participle is replacing this verb. So participle, if you remember Gachati, the present, so what kind of participle will come? Because it's a present tense, it's a Kartari Prayoga, active voice. So present active participle will come. And that participle is Gachat. Gachat. That's a participle, one who is going. So because it will be referring to the subject here, it's Gachan. So Gachan will come. So I can just do the whole thing and say Gachan. Rama Vidyalayam Gachan. The important part here to remember is, so this sentence becomes, but the important part here is to remember this is the verb form, Gachati. Gachan becomes a nominal form. And it has to be in the correspondence with the nominal form here, Ramaha. So Ramaha Gachan. Because it's a nominal form, we have to supply a verb. We normally say asti. You won't find normally this verb in the usage, but it is implied. Ramaha Gachan asti. So Rama, so meaning will be the same. Rama is going to the school. Rama is going to the school. One particular caution only about this participle, that this kind of sentence usage is not common. Panini specifically says that this sentence usage means making the verb replacing in the main clause by the present active participle is not common. When I say not common means take the another sentence. So if I say I am seeing Rama going to the school. So here if I have to translate this sentence in Sanskrit, it will be aham Vidyalayam Gachantam Ramam Pashyami. So Gachantam came because I am seeing Rama in the second case. So Gachantam came in the second case here, like from here. So I am seeing Rama going to the school. This is much more common than this. So when I say common means what? Panini says that this is not to be used. This kind of formation where you put it in the first case. But some grammarian says that in certain cases, it is okay to use. So that's where I meant by less common, that some grammarian says you cannot use this construction. Some grammarians are of the opinion that it's okay to use. So in the texts, Sanskrit text, standard Sanskrit text, you will find rarely this kind of usage. It's there in some cases, it's there, but this kind of in other cases. So instead of the first case, in other cases it is more common. So third case, fourth case, fifth case, sixth case. This is only for the present participle, for the Shatru and Sanash Pratyaya. For the past participle, there is no such thing. Past participle is very common in the first case also. So just to remember this part, that main aspect of participle is replacing the verbal form, but participle itself is a nominal. So you have to use it along with it becomes an adjective to the main nominal. So use it with the main nominal. That is the thing. So if you look at here, if I look at it from this perspective, active voice. So active voice, there is a present or future tense, parasmaipadi. This is the suffix for making the participle, shatru or at, just like we saw. Then present or future tense for the atmanepadi verbs. This is ana as the suffix, like bhashamana. Ana becomes mana for bases which are ending in akara. Because most of the verbal forms we are studying with the verbal base ending in akara, we use mana instead of ana. But actual suffix is ana. So for that, we saw some of the structures there, nindiship. Like Shyamaha Nadyam Gahate, then Rama sees Shyama diving into the river. Ramaha Nadyam Gahamanam Shyamam Pashyati, like that. So again, because it's so these two suffixes, Shatru and Shanaj, as I said, they are generally not used in the first case, but in other cases. That is not a problem with the past participle. So in active voice, you have covered the present or future tense for prasmaipadi and atmanepadi. Then past tense is tavat, that is the pratyaya. And past tense in case of a karmaka root, we also have ta pratyaya, and roots of motion, like Ramaha gataha, Rama has gone. Then if you look at in the passive voice, so you can understand from this perspective, we have participles for active voice. That means they are replacing the function of active voice verb, and participles in passive voice. That means they are replacing the function of passive voice verb. So again, these suffixes remain the same for the passive voice also. So passive voice, if you remember, Ramena Vidyalayah Gamyate. So Ramena Vidyalayah Gatah, like that. And past tense, for the past tense we have Takara. So there are only four suffixes if you look at. Ata, Ana, Tavat and Ta. For all the participles, whether past tense, future tense, present tense, active voice, passive voice, these are the only participles, only suffixes. Out of that, Tavat is very clear. It's only one usage, past tense active. That's where the Tavat is used. So we are left with 3. Ata and ana, they are used for present and future tense, respectively, Parasmaipadi and Atmanipadi verb, both in the passive voice and active voice. Remaining takara, it's the most versatile participle. Primarily, it is used in the past tense passive voice, but also used in the active voice in case of akarmaka roots as well as the roots of motion. So this was just a short overview of the things which we have studied so far. You can keep submitting your questions to the email, keep submitting the exercises. Many people have raised this concern that can we keep submitting the exercise. So yes, please feel free to keep submitting the exercises, and also you can send the questions. So many of the comments you can also see. I'm really thankful and grateful to all of you. There is a question for how long the class notes and videos remain in the repository. So videos we are going to put on the YouTube. So they will pretty much remain in the public domain going forward. Class notes we cannot put on YouTube. So that's why we have to have in this repository only. But there is no plan right now to discontinue that. They will be there for indefinite time. I would recommend you though that you can download for your own purpose and study them. And again, as I said, any questions if you have, please feel free to send it to us. So some of the people are saying that they are left behind in the homework. Can they keep submitting? Absolutely. Please feel free to keep submitting. And today, Sanchitama is saying Happy Vijayadashmi. So today is in USA it's Ekadashi, but in India it's still Vijayadashmi. It's a very important festival, very auspicious one, and Happy Vijayadashmi to all of you. So there is a comment here that Namaskar Swamiji, I thanks a lot to full team of KYI. I am honored to get a chance to study Sanskrit under this perfect team. I am very keen to donate a small token as a part of gratitude. I send it through Zelle transfer, which is actually fast and easy. Please let me know. I look forward to study and have more Sanskrit class in future under your guidance. Thank you. Thank you. And regarding the donation, I mean, you probably all know that we have this kriya.org. So if you want to donate, you can donate on kriya.org here. We have the donation link, donate now here in the bottom. So we are a non-profit organization. You can make the donations here. And as this mother suggested that she uses the Zelle, I think it's pronounced as Zelle to make a donation, and that's fine too. If you have any questions related to that, you can also send an email to institute@kriya.org. So there is a commenter. I look forward to continue to learn Sanskrit using all the tools, and I'm also looking forward to learn Sanskrit. That you all learn Sanskrit. I'm looking forward to that, and I know many of you put in a lot of hours to learn Sanskrit, and it has shown up in your knowledge, in your comments, in your sense of gratitude as well. That people who have put a lot of effort, who have taken the trouble to solve the exercises, naturally their knowledge has improved considerably, and I'm very happy to see that. At the same time, I would like to tell you that Sanskrit is like an ocean, and people devote their whole lives just to study Sanskrit, because you can just go deeper and deeper. And as a part of this course, as I am teaching, I'm also learning. And I can tell you one thing, that yes, I know many of you put in a lot of hours, but I feel that I may have put the most number of hours both studying and preparing for teaching. There were many days that every single day I was putting 4 to 5 hours every day. The list of the nominals, so Tapasyananji is updating the list of nominals to include the ones for the participles and for all the other nominals we covered so far in the course. So you will have one sort of reference book for you to refer to for all the nominals we have covered. I will still recommend you, many of you, that you should try to prepare your own cheat sheet, simply because you would learn better, and you will also know which forms are more important for you, which forms are you can highlight them, but if you just want to print as a reference book, that's a wonderful document Swami Tapasyananji is preparing, and that will be available on the repository. So Tapasyananji just sent a message that updated nominal declensions table is uploaded. So he is faster than I am here. So here is the other study material, and this is the nominal declensions table. So Tapasyananji, you can imagine the amount of work he has put in, 125 pages of the nominal tables he has put along with the index. So you could just refer to like which particular form you want to see, and you can just refer to that particular page. So it's a wonderful work. It's a very good reference book for any of you to refer to. As you can see, this book. So wow, there are 140 forms, but you see, these are not like that you have to memorize 140 forms. It is like he has taken the time to update every single thing, but many of them are simply saying that this is ending in akara, so this is similar to Rama. This is ending in akara, so this is similar to Sita. And even between the ones which are different, the difference, as we saw, is very minor. Just like 1 or 2 words are different. So from that perspective also, but it's a very good reference book. You can see all the forms in one shot and use it to solve the exercises or understand the text. So there is a comment here, Ramah Vidyalayam Gachan iti aham pashyati iti aham pashyami. Is this correct? So it is generally correct. It is fine to say that Ramah Vidyalayam Gachan iti aham pashyami, but better usage is aham Vidyalayam Gachantam Ramam pashyami. That's generally how you will find. So there is a comment here. Thank you so much and grateful to you for ever teaching Sanskrit. Sorry if I made any mistakes and not submitting the homework. So submitting the homework is for your own learning, and it's not a mistake. I know that many of you are very busy and not able to catch up. Ultimately, it's your sincerity and your effort which counts to learn Sanskrit. As I told you that we can refer to all books, we can have all the material available, but that is primarily only as good as you put it to use. So can the class notes be put in the public domain? Okay, I would love to recommend the class to family and friends. So when I put it on the YouTube, what we will do is we will put a link there for anybody who wants to register, enroll into this class, register into this class, even though live classes are over, then we will send them the link of the repository, so they will be able to access it. So that's what we will do. So on the YouTube, when we are putting the videos there itself, so you can refer to them to YouTube videos link, and there they can just register for the class and they can get the link for all the notes. There is a question here, when are we starting the next class? So this is one thing. I'm quite okay starting the next class, but I have this, in this particular course, I have not seen that much enthusiasm from many of you to submit the notes and to submit the exercises and to ask the question. So unlike the course one, where a lot of people showed an interest to continue, I'm not sure how many of you are interested in continuing. So if you are interested, send us the email. If there is enough interest and enough people are willing to pursue, then we can start the next class. We will definitely have at least 2 months gap, because it was a lot of work and many people need to catch up. So even if we start the course, it will be in the next calendar year, not this calendar year. So that gives us easily 2 months, and that is, I think, minimum required, even for people who have been very sincere and submitting the exercises, just to go back to review the whole thing, to get a handle on all the things you have learned. It requires time. So, but please send us your interest, and if you want to pursue the next class, we can decide accordingly. So Amit Tapasyananji has just informed me that ZLA, this tool may not work for making donations, so it's better to use the website. So this is what then I will recommend, that if the tool doesn't work, then use the website. So thank you everybody for all the grateful comments, for all your gratitude, and from my perspective, my success is that you found joy in this course, in the learning, and are able to feel that yes, you can understand the scriptures a little bit better. For me, that's definitely a success. So there is a comment here, I still have difficulty with Devanagari, what do you recommend? So we did put up actually some resources, some useful links to learn Devanagari. So if you go to the Sanskrit 1 course here, and in the other study material, there is a useful links, and learning Devanagari script. So if you go through 1 or 2 top links, you will find that they are pretty good sites to learn Devanagari. And I believe that many of, at least I think most of you who are submitting the exercises, they have all learned Devanagari. And that's a very good thing. Learning Devanagari is important simply because not everything is available in transliteration script, and some things just make more sense in Devanagari. On the other hand, some things may make more sense in the transliteration, but Devanagari is the default script for the language. And in the next course, level 3 course, we would probably offer Devanagari alone. So as and if and when that course is offered. So do learn Devanagari. It's not difficult. Many of you who had no exposure to Devanagari at all have not only learned Devanagari, you have also started submitting the exercises in Devanagari, which is very heartening and very nice. And many people reported that they can read Bhagavad Gita, they can chant Bhagavad Gita, albeit a little slowly, but they can chant Bhagavad Gita using Devanagari script. So that's it. That's a very good thing. So as you can see, you can probably read all the comments yourself. Many of the comments are in the public, and so I will not be reading each and every comment, but I am very thankful to you, all of you. So there is a comment here. Thank you for your time dedicated to teaching us Sanskrit. We have really enjoyed the process and to be able to know more Sanskrit. Thank you. So as I said that please feel free to keep submitting the exercises. You can always send the questions to this email learnsanskrit@kriya.org and we will try from our side to answer those questions as much as possible. So with this, my thank you, gratefulness and pranams to all of you. We'll close the class with the prayers. There is a question here, should we send the request for the next class, level 3 class to learn Sanskrit? Yes, you can send on the same email your request for the level 3 class. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone.